What up, you degenerates? Punter's Edge Combat coming back at you with a heavyweight boxing matchup breakdown this week. We got Moses Itauma against Jermaine Franklin. What an absolute fight this is. Moses Itauma is the hottest up-and-coming prospect in boxing. People say he's the man to beat Usyk, and I'm inclined to believe so. But there's a few questions that need to be answered before that happens, let me tell you. And is Jermaine Franklin the man to make him answer those questions? I'm not sure. Let's break it down. Moses Itauma, he's a southpaw. He's coming out of a bladed stance. He's got a really solid base, really good balance. He keeps his weight mainly on his back foot. And he likes to keep the lead hand extended for controlling distance, probing. And he uses a lot of feints to set up the left hand. And his left hand is dynamite, let me tell you. He's putting people to sleep left, right, and center. Just ask Dillian White. He also uses a great shoulder roll defense with a lot of head movement. He's got an elite jab, especially to the body. And when fighting orthodox fighters like Jermaine Franklin, I think there is more of a lead hand engagement by both fighters typically. And I can see Moses Itauma's pullback jab counter to be absolutely money in this fight. And I'm predicting that will be one of his main counters that you'll see throughout the course, however long this goes. And he uses his jab very effective when controlling range, and he follows this up with slick combinations when the openings show themselves to the body and to the head, transitioning seamlessly between the two, making him an absolute nightmare to defend. And he also uses his jab very well to set up his big shots with the left hand, using the classic jab to the body, feint to the body, go upstairs with the power shot. And I could also see, since this is a orthodox and southpaw matchup, I can see the double jab being a big weapon for Moses here, especially when it comes to winning the outside foot positioning battle and creating the weak side angle. I can see that working all night long for Moses Itauma against Jermaine Franklin. And especially with Jermaine Franklin's high guard tendencies, just give him one to bait the guard, break the guard a little bit, get on the inside, pop him with another one. It's going to be working all night long. And Itauma, you will use his feints to make his opponent work, gather that information. And he uses a lot of lead foot feints, circular jab feints, a lot of level changes. And he also he's got a really good low to high setup with it, which is a trademark of his game. He also uses controlled pressure, remaining on the back foot and advancing with the back foot first instead of the front foot first a lot of the time, which allows his head to stay out of range while he's moving into range to striking distance. And he also uses a lot of linear movement in order to create area and space for his counters. And his combination level changes, moving from hitting the body to the head, makes him an absolute nightmare to defend against because you just don't know where he's going to go. When he's got you hurt, he's very mature about it. He doesn't go in there and he doesn't go guns blazing. It's very controlled aggressions, which is rare for a 20-year-old heavyweight. Most 20-year-old heavyweights with his power, once they get someone hurt, they just start swinging wildly. All the technique and all the boxing goes out the window. Not Moses. Moses stays calm and collected. It's one of the most controlled, aggressive approaches that you will see out of any veteran heavyweight, really. He's that good. It's truly a marvel to watch this. He's an enigma. He is one of the finest boxers up and coming. And he's also got good guard manipulation. We saw that in the Dillian White fight where he pulled down the guard of his left hand and came with that short right hand to the right behind the ear that put Dillian White down. But there is a few questions when it comes to Moses Itauma. Number one is his chin. Can he take a shot? We don't know yet. He's that fucking good. No one's cracked him clean. Dillian White was supposed to be that test, and he mopped the floor with him in less than a minute and a half. I forget how long it took, but it wasn't even the whole round. All right, we don't know how his cardio translates in the later rounds. Is he one of these Conor McGregor characters that for the first 10 minutes of a fight, he's really dangerous, but when you get into those championship rounds, does the power die away? Does the volume die? And also, how does he react to adversity? What happens? Okay, I don't think this will happen, but what happens if Jermaine Franklin puts him down, knocks him down? Can he fight back? Can he collect himself? Does his maturity and is he mentally strong enough to pick himself up off the ground and continue to work his game? I think he is, but these are all questions that need to be answered. Now, Jermaine Franklin, he's a good boxer, all right? He's a good boxer. He's got a good stiff jab. He uses level changes, and he does his best work from mid to inside range. He's a veteran with 119 rounds of top flight heavyweight experience. He's really good at slowing the pace, which is going to be key for him if he wants a chance of victory. He's got to slow Moses Itauma's pace down to his and make him fight his fight, get him into a slugfest. He's really good at clinching when he needs to, and he knows how to survive against dangerous opponents. He showed that against Anthony Joshua. He went the distance with Dillian Whyte back in 2022, and that's not the same Dillian Whyte that Moses Itauma fought last year. You know, Dillian Whyte was clearly showing his age, clearly showing all the wars that he's been in, all the knockouts he's taken. But and you could argue Jermaine Franklin beat Dillian Whyte as well. He did put up a really hard fight in enemy territory in London at the O2, but Jermaine Franklin does have a tendency to be a bit passive and can be overworked over the course of rounds. And as far as his boxing, he's pretty basic, all right? He's not going to do anything that's like, wow, this guy is just an incredible boxer. But he does the basic stuff really, really well, which is all you need a lot of the times because he doesn't have crazy knockout power, but the biggest asset that he's got is his durability. And that's why they wanted to put him against Moses Itauma. Moses Itauma hasn't gone past the second round in his last 5 fights. So they're hoping to get a little bit of experience, a little bit of rounds out of him. I mean, but Jermaine Franklin's very limited offensively. His only way to win this fight is to drag Moses into unwanted exchanges and just make it an ugly dogfight. And I don't think it's going to happen. Defensively, Jermaine Franklin is very big on parrying shots and catching them with his gloves and blocking the shots with his high guard as well. All this favors Itauma, in my opinion, because Jermaine Franklin, he loves parrying the jab with his backhand. If, like I said, most of the Itauma doubles that jab up or even just gives him a half jab and then gives him a real jab over the top. Just bait that parry out of him, creating the opening. And then once he starts letting go with his combinations to the head, he's going to bring that high guard up and then he's going to go down to the body because Moses really seamlessly transitions from the body to the head really well. And I just cannot see any ways that Jermaine Franklin, other than turning this into an absolute slugfest, a war. I don't think Moses Itauma is that low fight IQ. He knows how good he is, but he's not cocky about it, all right? He's not talking all over social media saying, I'm the best, which is very rare for a young man with his talent and in his position in terms of where he is. People are talking about this guy like he's the one to beat Usyk. That could inflate a lot of people's ego, but he doesn't seem fazed by it. He doesn't seem to really care. But the keys to this match is really to watch is going to be the lead hand battle for the Southpaw versus Orthodox matchup. Franklin loves to occupy the jab lane with probes to slow the jab, and that's going to be key for him to get to smother Itauma's jab because he prefers it to be open, typically to use feints and speed to manipulate reactions. And as well, the key for Itauma is just to avoid unwanted exchanges, which he's very smart about it. He doesn't really get stuck into exchanges from what I've seen. He L steps, he circles out, he gives himself the space to work. And you'll see that Jermaine Franklin is also fighting from a bladed stance, and that also makes him very vulnerable to his weak side angles. And you're going to see Moses Itauma exploiting that, getting his head off to the right of Jermaine Franklin's lead hand, creating those angles, working that double jab, giving him a lot safer entry and exit angles in order to absolutely piece Jermaine Franklin up. If this goes 12, Jermaine Franklin's face is going to be a bloody mess. All right? There's no ifs, ands, buts. If it goes 12 and Moses Itauma doesn't have any cardio issues or anything like that, Franklin is really going to be looking... He's going to be looking worse than Paddy Pimblett was against Justin Gaethje in the interim title fight. Let's just say that. So Franklin often relies off of being the faster heavyweight, but Itauma's got him beat there in foot and hand speed. And he was also faster to reinitiate himself into the exchanges and exit from the exchanges. So he's going to have the chance to hit him and be gone before Jermaine Franklin's even got a chance to respond. He's going to be like Houdini, in and out, pendulum stepping, old school Russian boxing, get in the range, attack, move out of range, get to safety. Okay? So for Franklin, he's got to disrupt Itauma's jab really early. Otherwise, he will spend the fight reacting and not initiating at all, which is what I think will happen. And as well, he's got to lead hand control and terminate the quality. So he's just got to disrupt the jab lane as well as force Itauma into extended exchanges, turn it into an absolute war, turn it into a bloodbath, turn it into Mickey Ward versus Arturo Gatti. So if Itauma maintains the lead hand control and exploits the angle that Franklin's bladed stance possesses on the weak side angle, he could dictate the positioning and the tempo of the entire fight. Okay? And the parry's going to get him in trouble, Jermaine Franklin. So they're going to be these biggest two weapons, is just setting up the jab to the body, the double jab to the head to get on the weak side angle, and as well using the feint and the jab to set up the big left hand. And my prediction, it's extremely tough to bet on this fight because, I mean, look at the odds. -20, 2,400 for Moses Itauma. You're getting odds of -330 on the knockout. All right, you ain't going to get much value there unless you're thinking of a little parlay piece. I don't personally recommend it. If anything, fight to go the distance. Moses Itauma's on points to or decision. Could be a good bet here, a little value bet, a little $10 on the +310. Just in case Jermaine Franklin is good enough to survive, but I don't think he is. Round betting, if I'm going to pick a round, I'm going to say round 4 knockout for Moses Itauma. And if he wins this one, or imagine if he wipes the floor with Jermaine Franklin, just like he did with Bolgan and Dillian White in one round. Imagine if he just does an absolute demolition job. God, that'd be crazy. And, you know, the heavyweight division has seen a lot of interesting things happen at the moment. You got this fight this weekend. You got Tyson Fury fighting Makhmudov on April 11th. You got Fabio Wardley against Daniel Dubois coming up in May. Usyk's fighting Rico Verhoeven in a bit of an exhibition match. So there's a bit of movement in the heavyweight division for boxing as well. And if he pulls off a KO victory in impressive style against Jermaine Franklin, I could see, and I predict also Fabio Wardley will beat Daniel Dubois in May, and he will fight Usyk after he's done with Rico Verhoeven. Okay, Usyk's going to win that because he's the man. Another Brit ticked off the list. And then Moses Itauma, they're probably going to give him Ajit Kabayel as a title eliminator. And I think you'll be seeing Moses Itauma fight Alexander Usyk at Wembley Stadium in the final fight of his career. And let me tell you, it would be poetic for this kid to become the heavyweight champion and be one of the best heavyweights of all time. All right, boys, that's the breakdown. Hope you enjoyed it. We'll see you next time.